Unlikely heroes. In the year 2247, Earth had finally taken its place among the stars as a member of the Galactic Federation. It had been a long and difficult journey, fraught with challenges and skepticism from the older, more established alien civilizations. Many still viewed humanity as a primitive, volatile species, barely deserving of a seat at the galactic table. So when the Galactic Council announced a mandatory intelligence test for all member species, Earth's leaders knew they had to prove their worth. The stakes were high. If a species failed the test, they faced severe consequences, including loss of privileges and reduced status within the Federation. The task of selecting Earth's representatives fell to Dr. Amelia Novak, the renowned synopsychologist. After much deliberation, she made a surprising choice: a group of gifted 6-year-old children from around the world. Children, sputtered Ambassador John, his holographic image flickering with agitation. You can't be serious, Dr. Novak. We need our best and brightest, not a bunch of kindergartners. Amelia smiled serenely, unfazed by the ambassador's outburst. These children are our best and brightest, Ambassador. Their minds are untainted by preconceptions and societal limitations. They think in ways we adults have forgotten. And so, despite protests from certain alien factions who decried the inclusion of underdeveloped humans, the children were assembled, ready to represent Earth on the galactic stage. Among them was Lina Sorensen, a precocious girl with a shock of red hair and a mischievous glint in her eyes. As she boarded the sleek spacecraft that would carry them to the Galactic Testing Center, Lina couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and trepidation. She knew the weight of responsibility on her small shoulders, but she also relished the chance to show the galaxy what human children were capable of. The galactic stage. As the shuttle docked at the mammoth space station that housed the Galactic Testing Center, Lina and her fellow young representatives stared wide-eyed through the viewports. The structure was a marvel of alien engineering, a glittering hub of activity with ships of all sizes and configurations buzzing around it like a hive. Disembarking onto the main concourse, the children found themselves immersed in a riot of color, sound, and strange sensations. Beings of every imaginable shape and size milled about, some gliding on tentacles, others floating on anti-grav discs. The air hummed with a cacophony of alien languages, and exotic scents wafted from food stalls hawking delicacies from 100 worlds. Lina noticed some of her teammates looking overwhelmed and unsure. Squaring her small shoulders, she gathered them around her. "Okay, team, listen up," she said, her voice filled with a confidence beyond her years. "I know everything here seems really weird and scary, but remember, we're here to show them what we're made of. We're gonna knock their alien socks off." Bolstered by Lina's pep talk, the children allowed themselves to be shepherded into the testing area by a tall, slender being with shimmering purple skin. Once inside, they were each directed to an individual pod equipped with a neural interface headset. As Lina settled into her pod, thoughts began to race. She had trained extensively with Dr. Novak and her team back on Earth, practicing all manner of logic puzzles and creative problem-solving exercises. But now, the real challenge was at hand. A calm, synthesized voice filled her headset. "Welcome, young representatives. The first round of testing will now commence. You will be presented with a series of abstract visual patterns. Your task is to identify the next pattern in each sequence. Begin." Holographic shapes sprang to life before Lina's eyes, twisting and morphing in dizzying arrays. At first, the sheer speed and complexity of the patterns left her reeling. But then something clicked in her agile young mind. She began to see the inherent logic, the hidden rhythms and resonances that governed each sequence. Her small hands danced over the control surface, manipulating the holograms with an almost preternatural speed and precision. All around her, Lina could hear the excited chatter of her teammates as they too rose to the challenge, their youthful creativity and intuition guiding them to solutions that left the alien proctors astonished. As the first round concluded, a murmur of disbelief rippled through the observers' gallery. The scores were tallied, and it quickly became clear that the human children had not only passed, but excelled, leaving many of their alien counterparts in the dust. But not everyone was impressed. From a darkened corner of the gallery, a group of spindly insectoid beings chittered angrily among themselves. "This cannot be," hissed their leader. "These hairless apes must have cheated somehow. We demand a new test, one that will expose their true inferiority." And so, even as Lena and her team celebrated their initial victory, the wheels of alien politics and prejudice were already turning against them. The next level. No sooner had the children caught their breath than the Galactic Council announced a new round of testing. Whispers abounded that this phase had been hastily devised specifically to stump the upstart humans and put them in their place. Lena couldn't help but feel a flicker of anger at the blatant unfairness of it all. But she quickly tamped down the feeling, knowing that getting upset would only cloud her mind and impede her performance. The council representative, a portly, gelatinous creature, oozed forward to address the assembled testees. "The next challenge," it burbled, "will assess your capacity for moral reasoning and abstract thinking under pressure. You will each be placed in a simulated scenario fraught with ethical dilemmas. Your task is to navigate these quandaries and arrive at a resolution. May the most sapient species prevail." As Lena and her team were ushered into the simulation pods, a sense of unease settled over them. This was unfamiliar territory, far removed from the concrete problem-solving they had trained for. Inside the simulation, Lena found herself in a crisis situation. She was the leader of a stranded spaceship crew, forced to make a series of life-or-death decisions with limited resources and conflicting priorities. At first, the sheer weight of responsibility left her feeling paralyzed. How could she, a mere child, be expected to grapple with such weighty matters? But then, she thought back to the stories her grandmother used to tell her, tales of brave heroes who always strove to do what was right, even in the darkest of times. Squaring her virtual shoulders, Lena began to methodically work through the dilemmas, applying the lessons of compassion, self-sacrifice, and clever resourcefulness that those beloved stories had taught her. She negotiated with hostile aliens, found creative solutions to stretch dwindling supplies, and even made the heart-wrenching decision to stay behind on a doomed planet to give her crew a chance to escape. As the simulation ended, Lena emerged from the pod mentally and emotionally drained, but with a sense of quiet satisfaction. Around her, she could see similar expressions on the faces of her teammates. They had given it their all, drawing upon the wisdom and resilience instilled in them by the stories and experiences of their short but rich lives. When the scores were announced, a collective gasp echoed through the Galactic Testing Center. The human children had not only passed, but had achieved a level of nuanced moral reasoning that left the alien judges thoroughly baffled. These results defy all known models of cognitive development, sputtered a spindly alien psychometrician, its eye stalks twitching in agitation. How can such underdeveloped beings navigate ethical complexities that confound even our most seasoned philosophers? But for Lena and her team, there was no great mystery. They had simply approached the challenge with the open-minded empathy and flexible thinking that came so naturally to their still unencumbered minds. As they basked in the glow of their triumph, however, Lena couldn't shake the feeling that their greatest test was yet to come. She had glimpsed the fear and resentment in the eyes of certain alien factions and knew that their unprecedented success had painted a target on humanity's back. The final challenge. The atmosphere was electric as the children filed into the Galactic Council chamber for the final phase of testing. The cavernous space was packed with delegates from 100 worlds, all eager to witness the conclusion of this unprecedented evaluation. At the center of the chamber stood a mammoth holoprojector, its surface shimmering with anticipation. As the counselors took their seats, the human team was ushered onto a raised platform before the projector. Lena felt her heart pounding in her chest as the lead counselor, an imposing insectoid being, addressed the assembly. "Esteemed delegates," it clicked, The final challenge will test our young aspirants' ability to navigate the most crucial and delicate of galactic affairs. First contact with a new, potentially hostile species. A of the holoprojector flared to life, revealing a stunningly detailed simulation of an alien cityscape. Strange spires of twisted metal clawed at an orange sky, while hovering crafts darted between them like angry hornets. You will take on the role of a first contact diplomatic team, the counselor explained. Your task is to establish peaceful relations with the Xeraxians, an advanced but highly xenophobic race. The simulation will adapt to your actions, testing your adaptability, cultural sensitivity, and crisis management skills. The fate of trillions may depend on your performance. As the timer counted down, Lena huddled with her team, frantically discussing strategies and contingencies. They were all too aware of the enormity of the task before them and the weight of the alien gazes upon them. The simulation began, and the children found themselves avatars standing before a towering gate of black metal. A phalanx of Xeraxian guards, bristling with exotic weapons, barred their path. What followed was a tense dance of diplomacy and quick thinking. The children devised a rudimentary sign language to convey their peaceful intentions, drawing on their knowledge of mathematics and universal physical constants to find common ground with the suspicious aliens. When an inadvertent cultural misstep caused the Xeraxians to raise their weapons in anger, Lena's avatar quickly diffused the situation with a gesture of humble apology and a gift of a holographic star map, demonstrating humanity's spirit of peaceful exploration. The simulation unfolded in a series of increasingly complex negotiation scenarios, each one pushing the children to their limits. Lena's mind raced as she grappled with alien customs, technological challenges, and delicate political maneuverings. But as the final scenario reached its climax, with the fate of both civilizations hanging in the balance, Lena had a sudden epiphany. The key to success lay not in trying to dominate or outmaneuver the aliens, but in demonstrating vulnerability and trust. With a deep breath, Lena's avatar deactivated her protective force field and stepped forward to face the Xeraxian leader unarmed. In a gesture of universal kinship, she placed her hand over her heart and then extended it, palm open, towards the alien. For a moment that seemed to stretch eternity, the Xeraxian leader stared down at the small, defenseless human. Then, slowly, it reached out its own appendage and grasped Lena's avatar's hand. The simulation ended in a burst of light, and the chamber erupted in a cacophony of applause and astonished chatter. Against all odds and expectations, the human children had achieved the nearly impossible, forging a path to peace with a simulation designed to test the limits of any species. But even as Lena and her team basked in their hard-won victory, she couldn't shake the sense of unease prickling at the back of her mind. Out in the sea of alien faces, she glimpsed expressions not of admiration or respect, but of fear, envy, and calculation. It dawned on her then that their success may have unintentionally painted a target on Earth's back. For in demonstrating their potential so vividly, the children had showcased humanity as a rising power to be reckoned with, and perhaps, for some, to be preemptively cut down before it could threaten the established galactic order. Respect earned. The Galactic Council chamber was abuzz with anticipation as the counselors prepared to deliver their verdict. The air itself seemed to crackle with the weight of the moment as representatives from 100 worlds leaned forward in their seats, eager to hear the outcome of this unprecedented evaluation. Lena and her fellow kindergartners stood before the council, their small forms dwarfed by the grandeur of the chamber. Yet they held themselves with a quiet dignity and poise that belied their tender years. The lead counselor, an ancient and wizened being, rose slowly to address the assembly. Fellow delegates, it intoned, its voice resonating through the chamber. We have borne witness to a most remarkable demonstration of cognitive prowess and adaptability. These young humans have not only met, but exceeded the rigorous standards set forth by this august body. A murmur of assent rippled through the gathered aliens, tinged with an undercurrent of astonishment and, in some cases, trepidation. The counselor continued, It is therefore the decision of the Galactic Council that Earth be granted expanded rights and privileges within the Federation, commensurate with the potential demonstrated by its youngest emissaries. The chamber erupted into applause, and the human delegation let out a collective sigh of relief. They had done it. Against all odds and expectations, they had proven humanity's worth on the galactic stage. As the children were led from the chamber, they were swarmed by a throng of alien well-wishers and journalists, all eager to catch a glimpse of the young prodigies who had so thoroughly upended the galactic status quo. Lena found herself at the center of the maelstrom. Her picture flashed across countless holoscreens, and her name on the lips of beings from 100 worlds. It was a heady and overwhelming experience, but through it all, she maintained the same quiet composure that had served her so well during the trials. In the days and weeks that followed, Lena and her team were hailed as heroes back on Earth. Parades were held in their honor, and they were invited to speak before the United Nations and other prestigious bodies. But even as they basked in the glow of their hard-won respect, Lena couldn't shake the feeling that their work was far from over. She had seen the calculating glances exchanged between certain alien factions, the whispers of concern about Earth's rising influence. One evening, as she gazed up at the star-filled sky from her bedroom window, Lena made a silent promise to herself and to her world. She would dedicate herself to promoting understanding and cooperation between Earth and its galactic neighbors, to ensuring that humanity's voice would be heard and respected in the great cosmic chorus. She knew it would not be an easy path. There would be setbacks and challenges, misunderstandings, and even hostilities. But armed with the wisdom and compassion of youth, tempered by the trials she had faced, Lena felt certain that she and her generation could rise to meet whatever the future might hold. For now, Earth's place in the galaxy was secure, its potential recognized and celebrated. But as Lena well knew, respect was not a trophy to be won once and then rested upon. It was a living thing, requiring constant tending and nurturing, a never-ending dance of give and take, of listening and learning. And so, as the stars wheeled overhead and the great galactic drama played out on the cosmic stage, Lena Sorensen stood ready to take her place in the grand unfolding story. For she knew that the future belonged to those who had the courage to dream big, to those who dared to imagine a better tomorrow. She closed her eyes, picturing that shining future, a galaxy where humans and aliens worked hand in hand, learning from each other, growing together. It was a vision worth fighting for, a dream worth dedicating a lifetime to. With a smile on her face and a fire in her heart, Lena turned from the window and climbed into bed. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new opportunities, new chapters in the grand adventure of humanity's ascent to the stars. But for now, she would dream of strange new worlds and wondrous civilizations, of the boundless potential that lay waiting to be unlocked by the indomitable power of the human spirit. For in the end, it was that spirit, that ineffable spark of creativity, resilience, and hope, that had carried them to the stars and would guide them forevermore as they took their rightful place among the great civilizations of the galaxy. And so the story of Earth's rise continued, a tale not yet finished, a saga still unfolding. But with children like Lena at the helm, the future looked bright indeed, a shining tapestry of possibility, waiting to be woven by the hands and hearts of a young species that had dared to dream beyond the bounds of its native world.